Hello, 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 my fellow burnt out besties. Welcome to Sass and Small Talk. I'm your host, Deb Bellino of Sass and Smalls, coming to you from the creative hub of all creative hubs, the glorious artistic space of House of Owl Studios, my home away from home here, nestled in the beautiful city of Victoria, BC. I would like to take this opportunity to humbly acknowledge the Esquimalt, Songhees, and Wasanic nations, past and present, on whose traditional territories of the Algonquin-speaking peoples we learn, we live, and we work. The guests that I've invited to participate in this series offer an abundance of knowledge and insight and want nothing more than to help us, yes, us, get that sass back. I need my sass back.
Oh, you too? Well, if you want that chaos to be a thing of the past and you're ready to get back some of that sass, I got you. Hey, I'm Deb, host of Sass and Small Talk, reclaiming the joy of parenthood beyond burnout. As a mom of two smallies, juggling all the things from caregiving for elderly parents as an active member of the sandwich generation, homeschooling, while navigating special needs. With my own neurospicy brain, I'm no stranger to caregiver and parenting burnout. Through this lived experience, I've met some of the most amazing local parents and experts within my own community of Victoria, BC. They'll share real stories of isolation, loss of self, and burnout, and how they found renewed purpose, all while embracing the chaos that is our lives. So, join us here at House of Owl. Take a seat, grab your poison, and let's talk.
Darling, I need my sass back. Hello, today sitting next to me is a truly, truly special guest. Someone I've kind of crossed paths with on and off a handful of times. I always had a curiosity about her. She is a wonderful, wonderful woman. And fun fact, she is the wife of my husband's good friend and coworker. So we would be comparing notes, as one does, of course, and we realized we're pretty much married to the same person.
Yeah, pretty much.
But when we finally got a chance to sit down by ourselves, no kids, no husbands, no cats, we basically realized that we're the ones who are twins. We're the ones who are separated at birth, and we're pretty much mad at our partners for not forcing this friendship sooner. So anyways, we're here now. We have forgiven, and we are ready to get to know this wonderful woman. Let me introduce the fabulous Maggie Simek-Lahay. Did I say that right?
You sure did.
Woo! She's the host of the Catmom Podcast, one of many things that we have in common, but her pod is all about motherhood, finding your tribe, thriving and surviving through the chaos of parenting, especially with a little help of her Catmom crew. She is a creative soul who turns to the arts and music and using her hands when faced with overwhelm and burnout. And if you haven't already guessed it, we definitely see eye to eye in one particular thing, which is through the lens of a mama with ADHD. Very excited to have her here. Maggie is here today to talk to us about her late diagnosis of ADHD, mental health struggles, and her own experience of burnout, specifically as a mom, and advocating for her beautiful neurodivergent kiddo, and just keeping it real mostly with herself, something that I'm trying to work on, and it's a work in progress, so that's why I have her here on the pod today. Now, between chasing after her two adorable, beautiful kids and playing pranks, public pranks on her best friend and husband of 10 years, Ian, and loving on her two cats, Bob Jones and Wheezy, Maggie's got some insight on navigating the different seasons of burnout, all while living with ADHD as a mom. My burnt out besties, let's welcome my long lost twin, Maggie Simek-Lahay. Maggie.
What an introduction. Wow.
You had to. You deserve an introduction.
Thank you. I'll take my flowers where I can get them.
We'll have to talk to Ian after this.
Yes. Come on, Ian.
We're so excited. It goes without saying that I'm kind of in shock that we're actually here.
We're actually doing this.
That we're actually doing this.
We're at a table. We have podcast mics in front of our faces. We're actually doing this. And I think it's so funny because when we met that one time and basically just sat for like 3 hours and we're like, plus just eating some Nerds
what was
candy.
that? Nerds, that's
right.
right.
Yeah, the Nerds gummies and just basically like falling in love with each other.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I found my true partner.
It was so romantic.
No offense, George.
Yeah.
We love George. We love Ian.
We love Ian. We love George. But let's be real. The real romance is between the two of us because we are literally the same person.
We are.
Yeah.
I got really excited. I was kind of mad because I'm like, we should have met a gazillion years ago. But you know what? It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. You know what? The universe's timing is always correct. And that's what I'm going on.
I love it
because
we have so much to talk about. Like, I'm actually worried because I don't know if we have the time to cover everything.
I know. Seriously.
So we have to, this is why I have this, because I need to keep
We're going to keep on schedule because the two of us will get off on some weird tangent and it's just going to be bonkers. So we have the iPad.
We already started an hour late. We're right on brand.
We're right on brand. Listen, we have the iPad. The iPad is going to keep us on the straight and narrow. It's going to be the straight and narrow for us. We'll be able to do this.
I love that. Okay, well, before we start, because I think this is the question, the big question. We need to get to the bottom of this. I need to understand why Bob Jones and Weezy. Talk to us about these cats.
Bless. So Bob Jones came into our life. My first wedding anniversary with Ian. So the first wedding anniversary is paper. So we were like, what could we do that's like interesting and creative with paper? And I was like, adoption papers for a cat. So we went and got.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So we did have a cat before. Her name's Chloe.
Okay.
Chloe did pass last year. So R.I.P. Chloe. She was the best angel baby.
R.I.P.
But we wanted to get her a friend. We had just moved to Vancouver and we just went to the SPCA and we were looking around and none of the cats were really like fitting in. You know how you just have that like instant connection with an animal?
Yeah.
So we were looking around and we kind of finished with everything. And then the worker there was like, oh, have you been into this room? There's a cat in here. He just got dropped off like a day before he was left in an apartment building, like in an apartment place. And he hasn't eaten anything. There's like we've given him all the choices of foods. He hasn't eaten anything. He's just like stayed in his little like kennel or whatever.
This is getting sad.
I know. So we went in. And there was the most gorgeous, saddest looking orange boy just in his little kennel. And I just put my hand in. And you know how cats just sort of do that like rub up on him?
Yeah, my children do that.
Yeah, he did the like little rub up.
Oh, lovey.
And I turned to Ian. I'm like, this is our cat.
This is the one.
This is the cat.
Oh
this is it.
gosh.
I just knew it in that moment. So his name at the shelter was Bebob, which I'm like, there's no way.
He was a hip hopper.
He was a hip hopper.
He was
hipping and hopping and not eating any food.
Oh, honey pie.
I know. So I was like, we're not doing Bebob, but let's do Bob. Like Bob's a good
Bob,
name.
but you have to.
So we're about to leave.
I love that.
And one of the workers stops us and he's like, oh my God, I'm so glad that you're taking this cat. Because like he's been so sad. And like the apartment super who dropped him off didn't know anything about him except that he liked temptation treats.
Oh, nice.
And that his name might have been Tom Jones.
Tom Jones.
So I'm like, okay, listen. I'm like, it's going to be a new leaf for him. Let's do Bob Jones.
Do a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new.
A little bit of the old, a little bit of the new.
Bob Jones.
So that's how Bob Jones came.
And then what happened to Wheezy? What happened there?
Oh, Wheezy.
Is she Louisa or... Okay.
She's Eloise.
Eloise. She's a character right out of a book.
She's
I love her.
Sweet angel baby.
Oh.
She is just a big, fat, white cat.
Oh, I love fat white cats.
Yeah, her name was Eloise. And I'm just like, it fits her so well, but it didn't really fit with us. And
yeah, that's not really on brand with your family.
No, not on brand with the fam. So
Wheezy's definitely.
She's we call her Weezus. We call her Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy. Weasel. She's just, she's the best. She's such an Eloise, but like
we're just gonna refer to her as Wheezy.
Wheezy.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, see, this just basically gives us a taste of the Lahay family, right?
The Lahay family. We're just we're
Bob
a fun
Jones
time.
and Wheezy.
Bob Jones and Wheezy.
Bob Jones and Wheezy Simek-Lahay or just
Simek-Lahay.
Lahay?
Yeah, so Bob Jones is he's a Robert Jones Simek-Lahay, and then Wheezy is Eloise.
It's very classic.
Simek-Lahay, I think. We
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
really
why
come up
not?
with a middle name yet.
Okay, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I don't even think my kids have middle names. Yeah, they do. They do. I love this. So, I mean, it makes sense that you are the Cat Mom podcast because you love cats,
I do
apparently.
love cats. I do love cats a lot. And that name is so random too. Like we were just we were on this website that was sort of made fun of different celebrities on the internet, let's say. I'm not going to name any names because the creator hates us, but so we were all pregnant when we met on this website in the forums, and one thing that people would always say about like like the trolls in the community or whatever is like, oh, you're just like a fat person in your basement with a bunch of cats. And we're like, honestly, that sounds amazing.
That sounds amazing.
That sounds
please.
amazing. So we were
You
just
do
like,
you. I'll do me.
yeah,
I love it.
we loved it. So we were just like, okay, we're these fat cats, and then it turned into cat moms because we were gonna be moms, and then the cat babies were originally kittens, but we sort of went to call them cat babies, and they're
love
still
it.
babies. I mean, they're 8 years old now, but we still call them little cat babies. So
I love that.
yeah.
And it really just ties into what we're talking about too, and the fact that the Cat Mom podcast that we were talking about is about your cat mom crew as well, and leaning on your tribe, which we will be talking about. But I gotta hone it in. We
Yeah.
gotta hone it in because this is gonna
Bring it
turn into a podcast about cats.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about burnout today. ADHD. I love it. ADHD. Okay, so we are here because you get me, you get burnout, you get the neurospicy brain, you get the chaos. But I want to dig deep into your experience of burnout, and like when it started and what kind of catapulted this wanting to answer, why am I burnt out? What happened?
Totally. So I think what really started all of the burnout for me was right after we got Jackson, who's my youngest son. He's 5 now. We got his autism diagnosis.
Okay.
And this was in January of 2023. It seems like it's been so much longer, to be honest.
Oh,
And
that's
when I
really
looked back,
recent.
right? I looked back and I couldn't believe, I thought it was for sure had been 2 years, but it's been a year and a half. Yeah, so it started then. The journey sort of started a year before that, I guess, which is maybe why I'm thinking that it seems much longer. His daycare lady, who, God love her, she had both of my kids for years, or Jackson since he was a baby. She had Riley when Riley was 2 up to kindergarten. So she's really like a part of our family now. Love her. Amy, shout out Amy. We love you.
Amy Poppins.
Yeah, Amy
We
Poppins.
love Amy Poppins.
So she had another kid that was in her care who had just been diagnosed. And the mom had brought in like the sheet from the assessment, and she was looking over it and she's like, some of these really sound like Jack. So she called us and she was like,
Interesting.
hey, this just happened. I have this list of things. I'm going to send it to you if it's okay. She's like, I kind of see Jack in a lot of these qualities. And it honestly really shocked me. Like, I think that I am pretty good at being able to take a step back and sort of see, like, not have that bias with my kids. Obviously, there's going to be some bias, but I just did not expect this at all. So it was really emotional for me. And I think I definitely went through a period where I was just like, there's no way. Like, I don't think that this is the right answer. And then looking at some of the stuff on the list, I was like, okay, I can totally see how this could be a possibility. So we talked to his pediatrician. His pediatrician agreed.
Wow, right away.
Right away, which was awesome. We love our pediatrician. She's the same with Riley's diagnosis with ADHD. She was like, absolutely, you guys are on track. You know your kids better.
I love that.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, we love our P too.
Yes.
Amazing.
So great. And it's so great when they actually listen to you and they're not just, brushing you aside and being like, oh, whatever. Like she legit listened to us and our issues that we were having. And Jackson, I mean, he had such a rough go of it. Like he had torticollis when he was a baby. So he had to have we had to do like the neck exercises to get his head straight. He also had like the 98th percentile head size.
Oh, okay.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
And so we had to go see like a neuro a neurologist about
Neurologist,
that
yeah.
to make sure that nothing was wrong with
Going
his
on.
brain, because it was just massive, massive head. Um,
Gosh, your brain must have gone
yeah,
everywhere with all of
everywhere
this.
with all of it. And then like he had a lazy eye, so we had
Honey pie.
surgery on his eye. Then the other eye went lazy. I had to have surgery on the other eye. Like I was just like,
Oh my
this kid needs a
goodness.
friggin' break. Like
Oh, honey.
it was just brutal.
And so does mama. So does the family. It's hard to
Right?
watch this, right?
So hard to watch this. And it's so true what they say, like that you would in a minute like change places with your kid.
100%.
100%. I'm like, I would happily go through all this stuff if it meant that he didn't have to go through
Didn't
it.
have to. Oh.
So yeah, I just, I was just like, oh my God, this kid cannot catch a break. Like it's just so brutal for him. So we went on the list to get assessed. And anyone in BC knows it takes forever for them
Yes.
to go through this poor list. So we were waiting about a year.
This is for the private assessment.
This is for public
Oh,
assessment.
public?
Yeah.
Oh, this is for the public. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
for the Queen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we went through that same thing. Yeah.
QA. So
I mean, it's nice to have that option to have but it is too long. It is too long, especially when
So
you're on
long.
edge.
yeah,
So that in itself added to some
totally.
stress, strain.
Yeah. Because
Ugh.
it's just, you're sort of sitting in this unknown, like it
Yeah.
could be this, it may not be this. So I just sort of looked into it, and I'm very, very lucky that I have two really close girlfriends to me that live on my
Your
street in
Oh, this is the
my
street
townhouse.
to get in. I need to get on that
I
street.
know,
It's
it's-
a great community.
It's so great. Like I have such an amazing community of moms, and
Yeah.
two of my closest friends on that street have sons with autism.
Yes.
So literally when Jackson was a baby, my friend Heather had brought her son in for an assessment, and I was actually babysitting her daughter while she was going to this assessment. And when she came back, and the assessor kind of said, like, I really do think that it is autism. Like, obviously we have to go through the rest of it, but pretty much like that's what I think it is. And I just remember she came back and she was devastated. Like she was just so upset. And I sat with her and I'm like, babe, you are going to be amazing at this. I have no worries about Nolan. Like he is such an amazing little kid. If anything, like this diagnosis is just going to help you get the help that he needs in order for him to thrive. And I know you as a mom, and you fight for your kids every single day. He's so lucky to have a mom like you.
He's so lucky to have a
So
mom
lucky.
like you. And moms need to hear that, don't they?
Right? We do. It's like that Bluey episode where the like mom,
Bluey.
Chili's like friend comes and she's like, "You're doing a really good job."
Oh, that's all we need to hear.
That's all we need to hear. Just once in a while, like you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
So
And moms give that to each other. So you gave this to your friend.
100%. And she honestly, I was 100% right. She
Is amazing at
is
this.
amazing.
Yeah.
She's now an EA in schools. She works
Oh,
with special
wow.
needs kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
And it's perfect for her.
It's
She's
perfect.
it's
Giving
so
back.
great.
I love
Yeah,
that.
so great. So that was, that was really amazing in that when we did get Jackson's diagnosis, she was the first person that I called.
I love
and
that.
It was the same
Now,
thing.
at this point, when things were happening with Heather, and then she comes home, you get the results and stuff. At this point, were you already on the list? Did you even have this conversation
No.
yet? Oh,
no,
okay. So
this hadn't even happened. Jackson was a baby when
Oh,
this
okay.
happened.
Okay.
So yeah, so from that, it was just like we had no idea that would even happen. And
That
then
the tables would be turned, and
the
it
table-
sure
it's
was.
a 180, and
And she was there for you.
she was there for me, and she basically gave me the same talk. She's like, I know it's devastating now, and like take your time to grieve, take your time to really process everything, be
Yeah.
emotional,
Yes.
but know
Let
that
it
this
out.
is like
Yeah.
the best thing for him.
Yeah, and she could say that. 'Cause
And she could say that.
She
And I-
paved that pathway.
Yeah, and I could see it too in Nolan. Like it was amazing how much he had progressed over like 6 months, a year. Like he was just absolutely thriving. So I think in witnessing that and seeing my friend go through that, it made the process and his diagnosis a lot less scary.
Yeah.
And we had
absolutely.
had the year sort of to digest the possibility of him having autism.
Right.
And I think I definitely came to grips with it a
Right.
lot during that time, but it was still super emotional when we
course.
got that diagnosis.
So was the diagnosis itself that kind of spearheaded or catapulted this new feeling of this is too much?
Yeah, it really did. I mean, I think anybody who's sort of been through that process of getting their child diagnosed with autism, it's so overwhelming. So overwhelming.
My experience is very different.
Yes.
But it also it also created a level of burnout. It was the lack of diagnosis.
Mhm.
It was the fight for it.
Totally.
And a lot of the, I only know a handful, but to be a mother of a preteen or a young child that you just know there's something going
Mhm.
on and no one's listening to you. But of course, our pediatrician listened, but the people who, would be giving the official diagnosis, they didn't see it at first because it's so new to see a
Mhm.
girl's, symptoms. And it's the same with ADHD, and we'll get to that too. But that experience for me gave me burnout.
Oh my God,
Right. So
100%.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. And then what's funny is that relief came
Mhm.
when I got the
Yeah.
diagnosis because I realized I'm not crazy. But it's funny because burnout still happened
Yeah.
at different points for almost kind of the same thing, but
Mhm.
different. So it's
Totally.
really interesting how your perspective on your own kind of journey of burnout.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's really interesting too with your daughter, like, because you guys had done the like
Mhm.
early diagnosis, right? So that would have been like the change. When was that you guys did?
That was during the pandemic. So
Okay.
that was a good handful of years ago. It was about 3 years ago, and they said come back.
Yeah.
And because it was a hesitant
Yeah.
diagnosis, I'm like, well, if you're hesitating, then I might as well get the right one.
Mhm.
But and so it was 3 years of homeschooling and not knowing, homeschooling, not having funding,
Yeah.
homeschooling, and all the shame and the guilt of me reacting
Mhm.
to you're not listening, you're not understanding, you're not getting this, and then later realizing, well, this is why. So that, that kind of came to, oh, that was a really tough moment too for me it was a moment of reckoning. Is that what we call it?
Yeah. I'd say
Yeah.
moment of reckoning.
Where I really just stopped and I said, I just need to believe that this is what it is without the diagnosis. But that whole experience absolutely can contribute to burnout.
100%. I mean, I think as women, we kind of already feel this
Yeah.
in the medical field. Like we go in and we're like, hey, I'm experiencing this. And the doctor's like, have you tried losing 15 pounds? Maybe it's your period.
Bring up the hormones.
Yeah,
Bring
it's
up
just
the
the hormones. And then add the fact that you're a woman of color. That adds
That's
a
fun.
whole other layer to
Yeah,
it, you know?
100%.
So,
But neurodivergence and
yes.
with your and then the fight for it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
I could say like I could see where the burnout came for you.
Mhm.
Now let's switch it up because I
Mhm.
do want to talk about how burnout also came potentially. I
Yeah.
want you to tell me. I don't want to assume this, but I've already introduced you as a mama with
Yeah.
a late diagnosis of ADHD.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
So, shockingly, that kind of happened around the same time.
Okay.
Like many women in their 30s,
Mm.
I maybe got diagnosed with the ADHDs from TikTok.
TikTok therapist. I
TikTok
love it. There,
therapist.
yes. I
Um,
love it.
Yeah, during the pandemic, really got into TikTok. I very randomly had a video go viral on TikTok, which was a very weird life
Oh,
experience.
so
in
you did.
itself.
You
Yeah.
yourself, did you express like I think I might have it? Is this what happened?
No,
or-
it wasn't even to do with
Oh,
it
okay.
wasn't even to do with ADHD. It was literally I went to the butterfly gardens with the kids, and
Yeah.
there was Spike the iguana, who had had surgery on his eye.
Oh,
So he had like a little eye patch, but they had put a googly
I
eye.
saw that.
That's my video.
I got a viral video, girl, on the podcast. This is so exciting.
I know.
I know someone with a viral video. This is very
Yeah.
exciting for me.
It
I've
was-
seen that with a little patch. Oh my gosh, that's
So
awesome.
great. Yeah, so that was my video, and it so randomly went viral. Like I literally just I thought it was hysterical. So I just posted it to my Twitter, and I was at the hairdresser's one day, and my phone kept like making
Ding,
these
ding, ding, ding,
sounds,
ding,
and I was like, what is happening? So I checked my phone, and I'm like, oh my God, this video that I took of this iguana is
amazing.
blowing up on Twitter. And
Oh my gosh.
my hairstylist was like, oh my God. And it was like every 15 minutes I'd look up, be like, oh my God, like 1,000 more people liked this video
That's
of this
amazing.
iguana. So I had been watching TikTok, and I'm like, I'm just gonna add it to TikTok. Like, why not?
Oh no.
Added it to
Went
TikTok,
crazy.
and it went nuts.
Really?
It went nuts. So
I gotta try that.
it was awesome. And I so wish that I had done like a documentary on going viral because it's so strange. It's just like all of a sudden, all these people are like reposting. I had people from like agencies that were like,
What?
yeah, being like,
I
we
want
want to
this
have,
video. Stop it.
yeah, they're like, we want to license your video. We want to do all this stuff. And I was just like, I can't deal. Like, I don't know what you do in this situation. So I was kind of like, just like throwing my phone away.
Did you? Oh, so you just kind of like
I
pushed
was
it
like,
away?
absolutely not. This is too much for my little ADHD brain. And then they found my husband and started messaging
No
Ian.
way.
Yes. So they were like, we want to license your wife's video. Ian's like, oh my God, you need to talk to like one of these people.
Okay, that's
because
amazing.
they're,
I do
like,
not know
hounding
the
me.
sensation. I do not know the sensation.
It's crazy.
But
It's nuts.
did you move forward with this?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Yep. So I got licensed by one of the social media houses or whatever,
That's
and
hilarious.
I made like $1,000 off of my Spike video.
I could use I'm going to find a critter. I'm going to find a
Right.
raccoon in my backyard. I'm going to stick a patch on his head.
Amen. Little googly eyes. Throw it on there.
That's amazing. Okay, wait. We're veering off.
We're so off target.
Okay.
Story of our
Okay.
lives.
Sorry. So let me see where we're at. So with okay. See, I lost my train of thought.
Okay,
What were we
ADHD
doing?
TikTok.
TikTok. Okay.
TikTok.
So you were
Yes.
diagnosed on TikTok
Yes.
at first.
Yes.
You went to your doctor.
Yeah.
And it was this immediate like,
Oh yeah. I was like,
I could diagnose you. I mean, come on. I could
100.
diagnose me, but I didn't. Did
100%.
you know? Were you shocked by this diagnosis?
yes. I think I'd watched so many of these videos, and obviously it came up on my For You page because TikTok knows everything
Oh,
about
of
you.
course, of course.
So, like,
They
you
listen
know-
to everything.
Yeah, they know you before you even know yourself. So
It's
I'm like
scary.
watching these videos, and I'm like, this sounds like me.
Oh
So
no.
I was just like, okay, maybe it is ADHD. So I did some like research on it. And I'm like, this really does sound like me and
Deep
my
dive.
childhood.
Oh gosh.
And so I did like internet quizzes that were like,
Oh, the
do you
quizzes.
have ADHD as a woman? They were all like off the charts. So I went to my doctor and I'm like, hey, I really think that I have ADHD. So she did the quiz with me and she's like, yeah, you're off the charts. Like,
Oh my
for
gosh.
sure.
I got the off the charts comment too.
Of course we did because we're the same person.
We're the same person. We're
the same
twins.
person. We're twins.
I love that it was so validated and so quickly.
So validating and so
Okay.
quickly. Like it was just, I love my doctor. She's
Yeah.
amazing. And I love having a female doctor in
Yes.
my life because it, again, like being a female, she gets it.
She gets it.
So she was just like, absolutely, this is 100%. Like, we'll try stimulants and see if they work for you. And, tried some stimulants and they definitely worked. So,
That's a whole other journey too.
yeah.
But no, we had talked before about how this may have contributed to your burnout. Didn't it give you
Totally.
relief
It did.
more than burnout?
It did at first. I think there was so much relief because
Knowing.
yes. And having that diagnosis and being able to label it as something because growing up, like I always felt very much so like a black sheep. I never really sort of felt like
Yeah.
I fit in properly anywhere.
And back then, it wasn't celebrated to be a black
No,
sheep or to be unique.
no.
Now it's like, oh, it's cool to be unique.
Yeah,
But back then,
Back
when
then
you're
it's
black
like-
sheep, you really are.
you're a black sheep.
You're a
Yeah, you're
black
just
sheep.
like keep her away
Yeah,
from society.
that's sad. Yeah.
And I mean, I was adopted, so that added another
Mm.
layer too of feeling like I didn't totally fit in with my family. And when I met my birth family too, it was also like don't totally fit in there because I don't have that history with them. So
Right.
it definitely was a lot of feeling othered. And then also just the fact that I got so overwhelmed at so many things. I feel emotions very deeply, like the rejection sensitivity
Dysphoria.
dysphoria
Oh,
is
sister.
huge with me.
Yes.
And I spent my entire childhood being like, I'm going to be an actor when I grow up. Like, this is the one thing that I want to do. I want to be famous.
Yeah.
And so I went to acting school, did the acting thing.
You went for it.
I went for it. Went for the
Good
dream.
for you.
Dream ended very quickly after school.
Because you have ADHD.
'Cause I have ADHD.
no,
Uh,
I don't want to say this. You know what? We tease about it, and
Mhm.
I mean to be clear, we tease about it, but like the truth is, there is this feeling of I need to be creative. I need an outlet. I need
Mhm.
something to. Whether it's trying to find ourselves, like I mean, what other symptoms of ADHD did you feel like you had? Like, so this you want
Yeah.
creative,
Totally.
wanting to express yourself.
Yep. Also, all the hobbies. Like,
The
I've done all
hobbies.
the hobbies.
Yeah.
My husband's like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? You came back from Michael's? Like, what do you have now?
What is
Like,
happening?
What is
Oh,
happening?
we love
We
Michael's.
love Michael's.
I think
love
that's an
I love a
ADHD
Michael's.
thing because it's
Michael's
all about
journey.
the creative space and all the containers.
Yeah.
I love the container. Oh, the container
The
shop.
containers, sparkly
Thank God we
things.
don't have a container shop.
Oh my God,
here
if
because
we had a container
we'd
shop,
be broke.
we'd absolutely be broke.
Yeah.
I'd be like living in a container.
I'd be living in
I'd have a lot of containers.
I'd live in a container with you, and we'd have all these
Yes.
matching containers.
Oh my God, it would be
surrounding
so
us for our cats, for our
magical.
kids.
All of them. Our husbands would just be in a container. Just push them to the side.
Oh my gosh, I love it. No, so that like the impulsivity. Come on,
Oh my God, impulsivity, especially in my 20s, like
spending.
the, going out to the bars, drinking a lot, all that stuff.
Some
That's
addictions, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like
Yeah.
really severe addictions, but even just
just little ones. Yeah,
Little
like definitely
ones.
like getting fixated on things.
Yeah.
Getting fixated on things is a huge thing for me.
yeah.
And I'll just like deep dive into like the most random stuff, which makes me great. If you have like a trivia night, I will
Oh.
know
You'd be a dream.
all the most random facts.
Yeah.
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 But definitely getting fixated on little things, learning everything about them.
Oh gosh,
Like as a child, like
the deep dive.
I deep dove into cats, which like now, and dogs actually.
Oh, dogs too.
Dogs too.
You're
I
a
know,
cat mom, slightly almost a dog mom
dog mom
podcast
too. Yeah.
person.
I know like all the breeds of dogs.
all the brands.
all the brands and breeds of dogs.
I love that. You're an animal lover.
Animal lover.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So you
Yeah.
know everything about all the things that you're interested in. So it's that deep, the hyper focus
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
on the deep interests, which is very ADHD. I hate saying it as like this is so ADHD, but in so many ways, there's a reason why that reputation exists, right?
Totally.
Because it is quite apparent,
Mhm.
and it's even more in motherhood.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
And I think that's the problem is
Mhm.
that it's cute when you're a
Mhm.
kid to be like, oh, shiny object. Ooh,
Mhm.
I have so many stories to tell you. I'm talkative and blah, 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 blah. It's cute.
Mhm.
And then you come to school and you're like, you start getting in trouble for
Mhm.
being talkative, for
Mhm.
being a little bit distracted. Now, for me, I was a masker. I was a queen masker.
Me
I'm
too.
assuming you were too,
Yep.
because they're RSD. And for our listeners who don't know what RSD is, rejection sensitive dysphoria, it's almost kind of like you're just afraid of being rejected, the sensitivity towards a rejection. So we tend to be people pleasers. Even if it kills us,
Mhm.
we ruminate and wonder, did we say that wrong, do that wrong? How did I do? Like,
Mhm.
I'm hoping and praying that after this podcast that you will not ruminate and I won't ruminate. But like, we've had ourselves managed, so that's a good thing. But I think back in the past, we would have been like, did I say that right? Did I do this right? Like,
Yeah.
it's killer.
It's killer. It's 100%. Like I even remember like bringing it back to the cat moms. We did like a big cat mom meetup, which was in LA. We went for like a
Fun.
3-day, so much
This
fun.
is serious.
Yeah, we did like a 3-day trip, which basically just was us all hanging out on like a giant couch, just like chatting, eating food. It was
I want to be a
amazing.
cat mom.
you can join.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I have to have a
definitely.
cat though?
No.
Oh, you don't have to have a
No,
cat.
you do not need to have a cat.
Well, I
Just
had a
be a
cat.
mom.
I had a cat once upon a time. My dog thought he was a cat.
Yeah. yeah.
So there, he was a very effeminate dog, and he was very spicy, and like
Aw.
and cats have kind of a bad rep a little bit, right?
They really do. Like they have this rap of being, like aloof,
Yeah.
and that is not the case.
It's
In my
not.
house, like, are you kidding me? You come into my house, Bob Jones is up in your
Bob
grill.
Jones.
He's like a
He'll
new
be my-
person.
He'll be my bestie.
Yeah, new bestie. He's like someone new. Will you feed me? Will you pat me?
We're good.
We're good.
And then he'll go like this.
Yeah. he's like,
Okay, we ADHD'd again.
we ADHD'd again.
Sorry.
So we had gone on this LA meetup, and it had been amazing. Like it had been such a fun weekend. We all had bonded so much. And literally I got home the first night, I had like a complete panic attack. I'm like,
oh no.
everyone hates me.
Oh.
Everyone behind my back is like, I hate her. Like she's so annoying.
Oh goodness.
And it's crazy. Like it's just, there was nothing that was shown that weekend of
No
that
one
being
gave-
true. It
no
was
indication.
just my brain.
Mm.
Just my brain just going off on a tangent and just trying to sabotage things.
Again, was that before or after your diagnosis?
Before, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's even more difficult having to navigate when you don't know what's going on. Why am I ruminating? Why am I?
Yeah.
Oh my, that's tough. And
Yeah.
then okay, well then let's go into the next thing with having an undiagnosed ADHD brain, unmanaged at some point in your life.
Hmm.
Obviously, that could contribute, or most often contributes to mental health struggles.
Hmm.
So, talk to me about some of your mental health struggles.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from that, but just like
Yeah.
generally.
So I was diagnosed as depressed, clinically depressed. I think I was 16 when I got that official diagnosis. So that was something that I lived with in my teens, and I definitely, I will always say this about myself. I feel emotions very deeply.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that
so
about you.
which I love about myself too, and
Hmm.
it's taken me a really long time to be okay with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So, I mean, if I'm happy, I cry. If I'm sad, I
yeah,
cry.
yeah,
Like
totally.
everything is, it's either like really great, really bad, which
Mm,
is an ADHD thing.
right.
But when I was a teenager, like there was so much crying, and there was a lot of like I
Heavy.
said before, just feeling left out,
Mm,
and a lot of depression. And I was going through a major depressive state for a couple of years. And like a lot of women around our age, or I guess people around our age, we were just told, like, don't talk about this with anybody. Like, this
mm,
is a shameful thing.
yeah,
Don't burden anybody with your
yeah.
problems. A couple of the people that I did open up to at the time about my depression really sort of shut it down.
Ugh,
I lost some friends because of it, and
oh my
so it felt like
goodness.
this very shameful thing
Yeah,
that I was dealing with, which obviously adds to the depression because
100%.
you feel terrible and you feel like who you are as a person is
Wrong
wrong and rubbing off on
and
people,
rubbing
and people
off.
don't want to be your friend because of it.
You felt responsible for,
Totally.
and it wasn't you
No.
at all.
No. And I mean, it has so much to do with society at the
Yeah.
time and just how much we didn't discuss mental health. And for me, that really became like in my early 20s, I started talking to people about having depression, about having anxiety, and it bonded me with people
Yes.
so deeply. And it was so nice to hear that someone else was going through the same thing that I was
Yes.
going through, because
Mhm.
for the longest time, I felt like I was the only person in this world who was depressed
Of course.
because no one else talked about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Or at least in your immediate circle, there was just maybe there is no experience of it, or people didn't talk about it,
mhm,
and you obviously felt like a black sheep in general.
mhm.
So to be able, so who are your people that you found that had these, like you just someone you went to school with or someone you worked with,
Yeah.
is that kind of thing?
Totally. So I moved to Toronto after I graduated from high school to go to acting school. And that was actually acting school. Okay. So people always are like, oh, you went to acting school. Like, the mental toughness that you need to get through acting school is
100%.
ridiculous. Like, I'm
Yes.
sorry, you can go to like a science lab or something. Have you been to a class where they're going to make you bare your soul and then
Mm-mm-mm.
be like, that was terrible?
And I actually survived it. I
Yeah.
am a superhuman.
Yes.
So the resilience you need.
Yeah. You need to have it in order to deal with the industry. And honestly, there aren't a lot of people from my class that are still in the industry, and those people that are still in the industry have such a mental toughness, and I am
Survivors.
oh my god, such survivors.
Not that
and
you're
just
not a survivor,
no.
because you survived the program,
Mhm.
but you know the reality of this.
100%. I mean, it was so disheartening to come out of acting school, and I had done so much stuff. And so much work, and then you get an agent. I got an agent, and then you go to these auditions that are like hot girlfriend who does not talk. You get to the audition, they just like look at you, they're like, no thank you, bye.
Ugh.
It's like such a stab in the heart.
It's such a stab in the heart. Well, I would have hired you.
Thanks.
You are definitely hot girlfriend material.
Thank you so much.
My hot girlfriend, girl, please. They don't know what they're talking about. But I think you're right. But it does build builds that repertoire of like experiences where you're like, I survived that. I survived that. It almost prepared you for motherhood.
Oh my god, 100%.
Right?
And I always joke with like my friends who are in improv. I'm like, improv is so great for like
Yes.
kids
Yes.
doing the yes and. I'm going to do yes and with everything.
Oh, talk to me about this yes
Oh
and.
my God, yes and. Okay, this is like one of the pillars of the improv community is like one of the first activities that you'll do is yes and. So in improv, you can't shut anybody's idea down. So if someone comes in and they're like, here's my car, you can't be like, there's no car there. You have to be like, oh my God, I love your car. And it's red and it's beeping uncontrollably. Like you have to add on to everything. So it's yes and.
So you're validating that the car exists.
It exists. And then something else is happening with the car.
Something's happening, but you're not like saying that it's not there.
Exactly.
And so you're acknowledging. So that's what we do with our kids.
100%.
Okay, so what's an example that you do with your kids in that same kind of vein?
Oh God, when we were like forced to play like Barbies or whatever, and they're like, hey, you're gonna be Stacy's mom, and Stacy's mom is really mad. I'm like, all right, Stacy's mom is mad, and she's got a lot of laundry to do, so she's gonna go over here and do some laundry.
How come your recipient is always like a valley girl?
Listen, I don't know.
Your kids,
it's
the person, the person auditioning you.
Everybody. Just a valley girl.
Is there some sort of like attachment to that? Some sort of past trauma of like being bullied by some valley girl? Because it could be, right?
It could be. I think also I got made fun of a lot as a kid just for saying like so much.
Oh, we all say like so
Right?
much. That's the thing.
I feel like that it was a huge thing with some boyfriends.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I know.
I bet you if you have recordings of those same people who judge you on the likes, because I was a judger once. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. It's too much likes. And then I listen to myself recording. I'm like, oh, gosh. And that's why my editing takes like 48 hours.
Yeah.
Thank God for hiring a House of Owl because they'll just take the likes out for me. Yeah. But I do say like all the time, too.
All the time.
But you got that kind of shame.
Yeah, I got like shamed.
Whatever.
Rude.
Too
So
many
now
rude
I'm just
people.
going to be valley girl for everybody.
You are so...
Use
So
all
if
the
you
likes.
talk to me like that, I'll be like, Maggie's mad at me right now. She's valley girling me. I love that. Okay, all right. Bring it back in. Back in. So, okay, now this is a kind of a profound question because it's assuming. But do you feel to some degree that your mental health was exacerbated even more because you didn't know what was going on with your ADHD?
Oh, probably 100%.
Okay. Yeah.
Not even a probably. Let's take the probably out. I'm going to say
like
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think when I look back, and this is the thing that really sort of got me into a downward spiral after getting the diagnosis and after that initial relief of like, oh my God, I can finally put a name on what I was feeling all this time. And like random stuff too. Like I can't wear certain materials like wool. Get out of here. Cashmere feels like stainless steel on my skin. I don't like it. I can't do it. I can't do tags.
Oh, I hate tags.
All that stuff. And I was just like, is this a normal thing? Is this not a normal thing? Do other people feel this? And it was one of the things on the ADHD videos. And I'm like, okay, finally, I have a reason for why I don't enjoy this.
And this is why we're so lucky because you just referred to something on TikTok or something you can refer to with another woman who's someone you can relate to.
Yeah.
Well, if she feels this,
Totally.
this must be what I could be experiencing. And then you go and follow that kind of hint. There's something going on. I need to look into it. So I'm glad we live in this time where it's not shamed. It's not looked down upon. Mental health is celebrated. Not mental health is celebrated, but vulnerability is celebrated. Mental health is prioritized. And you're not alone in it. And you could really have that. So let's go back to your Catmom crew because I feel like, so that's an online community as well.
Yes, it is.
More, or you also have the in-person people too?
More so online community just because we're so spread out. I mean, the majority of them are in the States and they're all over the States.
Right.
We have a couple of us in Canada, and then there's one Australian, one British lady. So yeah, we're really spread out, but it was having that sense of community, and it's so funny now because the majority of us were diagnosed with ADHD. I was gonna say,
so most of them probably were. I mean, to come up with this amazing concept to like have this love for community. Maybe there is something that was missing in their soul, and maybe there was something that they were searching for. Same reason as you. Not shocking.
Not shocking at all. Like we were just like, and there is that thing of like, when you have ADHD, you glom onto like ADHD friends.
Yeah.
Us being a perfect example.
Find your people.
Find your people. Find
Yeah.
your people who are
And,
going
like,
through the
hanging
same
on.
thing. Yeah. Hanging on for dear life and
Yes.
deep diving into their life.
Yes. I'm like begging George to be ADHD. I'm like, you have to be ADHD. I need you to be my body double. And he's like, no, you have to stop spending. And like, he's the exact opposite
Yeah.
of me. Although you could have the symptoms of ADHD that's different. I mean, it's a spectrum. Obviously, it's like autism. And like his need, what does he do? He does ruminate as well, but he's not as talkative. He's not as impulsive, right? But the ruminating, the deep diving, he does all that stuff. But I'm like, oh, that's classic ADHD. So I mean, I'm like his TikTok.
Yeah.
But I do that because I'm just yearning to have that like-minded person to understand what my brain is going through.
Right.
So, but
And-
sometimes it's good to not have that, to have the opposite.
Yeah. It's good to have like a yin to your yang, I find. Okay. I have a question for you.
Talk to me.
So I find with my ADHD, I am such an oversharer. Like that is one of my biggest things. So when I meet new people,
Yeah.
I'm like, I will info dump all of my stuff on you and I will tell you all the things. Because I'm like, I want to get to know all the things about them too.
Yes.
And I love being vulnerable and I love like having those vulnerable moments. I mean, obviously us that night that we like both met. But do you find that like maybe like in your childhood that like put off some people? So you kind of stopped doing that?
I want to say I was kind of opposite because of such a masker. I didn't share at all. So it was
Oh.
pent up.
Okay.
And then when I found that safe place, it all came out like vomit.
Yeah, verbal diarrhea.
I'm like, whoa! I felt, you're going to listen? Oh my gosh. And it turns out they were ADHD too. I mean, it all worked out great. But you're right. I think even now I have to kind of hone it in and watch out for, the oversharing, over talking over. Like that has been a struggle for sure.
Yeah.
And I think our brain, other than just those obvious things, like everyone thinks that ADHD is like hyper running around. Sometimes it happens in your brain.
It's in your
And
brain.
a lot of women who seem to have it together, it's happening in their brain. So that's happening to me most times. And when that happens, that leads to burnout because I am burning myself out in my head and no one's seeing it. No one's supporting it unless I talk about it. So there goes you have to share it.
Yeah.
It has to come out somewhere.
It has to come out somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good to see people who also get it.
100%. And I think it's also interesting seeing, like I've seen, again, to TikTok, this podcast is sponsored by TikTok.
And tell us.
And TELUS and TikTok. It's interesting. I've seen so many videos that are like ADHDers and autistic people get together and like are best friends. Like it's just like that thing. And it's so funny because it's the same thing with Jackson and I. Like the two of us are such weirdos together.
Oh, I love it.
And it's so great. I'm
so
like,
you're each other's people.
we're each other's people. And like, we're just, he's vocal stimming and I'm like, I will do, a harmony to his vocal stim.
That's awesome.
And we're just, stimming together and people are looking at us weird. I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care.
We got the tism going on over here,
the
baby.
autism and the RSD is taking a back seat now.
Yeah.
You don't care what people think because you found your
No.
people. See,
I found my people.
all it took was like a diagnosis,
Yes.
knowing what's going on, and then finding your people,
Mm-hmm.
and then knowing it's okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about navigating this acceptance of having ADHD and through burnout. What is some of the stuff that you do to heal? So one of them is Jackson, like
Yeah.
stimming together. What a beautiful concept.
Yeah.
So letting it out. Talk to me about like movements and singing and what's
Yeah.
going on there.
So I think for me, a big thing with sort of my like journey of getting out of burnout and sort of like dealing with my trauma from the past, a lot of it was literally just allowing myself to feel those emotions. Like I said before, people would always be like, you cry too much. So then I would like try not to do the crying. But then if you're holding that stuff in, it just festers and it just it's so bad in your body.
100%.
You need to get it out.
Out.
So I think what really was good for me is sort of realizing that you aren't emotions. So it's not like you're sad. It's an emotion that's going to pass through your body.
Yeah.
and allow yourself to have that moment.
Allow it, let
Yeah.
it out. And that's so true because one thing I've learned with my second child, because my first one, I did all the things that were in the parent books,
Mhm.
and then I found with my second, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let him cry. I'm going to encourage him to
Mhm.
let him cry. And or to cry, to let it out. So every time he hits a point, I remember being raised especially with the boys in my family, like, shake it off. When they get hurt,
Mhm.
shake it off.
You're a man.
You're a man. Come on. You can do this.
Yeah.
Now, I'm like, if he cries, I'll hug him, hold him, and I'll
Mhm.
say, let it out. Let it out. Come on. Keep going.
Yeah.
And then he'll let it out, and it'll be this little bout of, and it's this relief knowing that
Yeah.
he let it out. And I think if we just kind of like do that in our adult life,
Yeah.
accepting that we have to let it out. Sometimes it's verbal diarrhea, sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's laughing out
Yeah.
loud. The whole like, if I'm too much, find someone less.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, and it can be like any emotion, right? Like it could be
Yeah.
anger. And I
Anger,
think
yeah.
so much being a woman and so much of society and the patriarchal society is like, you can't be mad as a woman. You
Hold
have to
it
be like
in,
this.
yeah.
And you have to hold it
Demure.
in.
You have to be demure.
So demure,
Mm.
so gentle, which is the opposite of
You're
me.
so not you, but like it's so funny because like all those things that joke, it's hilarious because who's demure? Like no one's demure. Come
No,
on.
No. So I think really sort of allowing yourself to have that anger moment.
Yeah.
To, I don't know, punch a pillow, scream into a pillow.
Yeah.
Have that motion. Take it out.
Take it out.
Don't keep it festering inside of your body. Let it out.
Brain dumping, even writing it down.
Writing it down. Journaling is huge for me.
Yeah.
Really, it
I
helps
gotta
me
do that
work
more.
through my emotions. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm feeling and I just start writing and it just comes to me.
Yeah, so you're creative. Like we were talking about how you do art, you use your hands. When you're faced with burnout, when you're having your high moments of overwhelm, maybe from your ADHD brain, maybe from circumstance,
Mhm.
you use your hands.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
It makes me sound like I'm like a potter, like I'm
Well,
Patrick Swayze
you-
coming in and
you
Ghost
are,
and just
come
making a
on.
little pot. I wish I was that good with my hands. I am not like a very artistic person. I cannot draw for anything. I can't paint. I can't do pottery. I can't do any of that kind of stuff. But one of the hobbies that I picked up during the pandemic
Love this.
was furniture, remaking, refurbishing,
restoring,
yeah,
DIY.
DIY. So it started with redoing furniture.
Mhm.
Um,
I love that. That takes patience.
It does take patience. And it was really a skill that I did not have, didn't know anything about.
Right.
Again, did a deep dive into it, learned about it, learned the tools that I need, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of it was, trial and error. Tried to stain some wood, didn't work. Why didn't it work? Look it
Because you
up.
didn't read instructions?
Reading the instructions properly.
I never read instructions.
It's terrible.
I hate
It is
instructions.
terrible. Even like YouTube videos. I'll watch a YouTube video and I'm like, I don't
too
need
much.
to know about this.
High speed.
Yeah, high speed. Move it on. Move it on to the actual part where they're doing something.
Yeah.
And I think that also really allowed me to, as somebody who is a people pleaser, and also as somebody who has ADHD, I want to be perfect right away. I want to jump into something and, they're like, wow, you're like the Vincent van Gogh of painting furniture. I really want to be able to jump into something and be good at it. I don't like that whole working up to that point. So this really made me do that. It really made me practice on the craft, learn more about the craft.
Make mistakes.
Be okay
Be
with
okay with
the
it.
mistakes.
Oh, I love it.
Find a different way to solve things. I really love being creative in problem solving.
Yeah.
Which got me into DIY with the house because there were things that I'd be like, oh, I really want like a board and batten wall. Can I afford
nice.
someone to do that? No.
So you have to do yourself.
I have to figure out how to do it myself and figure out how to do it on a budget because we're not living bougie over here. We're working on a budget. And you know what? I'd rather work on a budget because it allows me to be creative.
It does allow you to be creative. It'd be so easy to just go on and of course, I'm Amazon. I'm like very return purchase, friendly. My finger's very like this all the time. And my husband always pulls me down and he's like, no more. keeps
Cut
me
off.
kind of like, yeah, it cuts me off. But it's good because you're learning, I guess, learning to be more
Totally.
frugal because you kind of have to be more creative with that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now that feeds your soul.
Totally feeds my soul.
Yeah.
Totally feeds. I found that if I'm doing something that is creative that I can get lost in, my brain turns off.
I like that.
And that is very rare with me. My brain does not like to turn off.
Me neither.
So I think another part of my burnout was also that I felt very guilty when I would be resting. So even if I had like a day off, or even if I was sick, if I was sitting on the couch just watching like trashy TV, I would feel guilty.
Oh, no.
I'd be like, I should be like folding laundry. I should be cleaning up the house. I should be doing XYZ on my list. And I found it very hard to be okay with just like sitting with myself and relaxing.
And enjoying that moment,
Yeah.
decompressing. We
Yeah.
always encourage our kids to decompress.
Yeah.
Our friends, decompress, rest. We
Yeah.
always say that. Why don't we do it ourselves? This is a story of motherhood, though. A lot of moms, we do have that innate ability to feel guilty for
Everything.
everything. Unless we're snoring and sleeping, we should not be actually resting. Now, no one's really telling us that, but there is an understanding that this is how it's looked at,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, 100%. And I think society, and I think especially like Instagram and like Pinterest, they can be great places. You can find your people, you can really connect with people, but it can be a very toxic place
100%.
because you're seeing these moms. And I mean, it happens to me every September
Productive. Ugh.
that it's my Instagram feed is full of like first day pictures. Everyone looks perfect. They're all like matching outfits. And
I
then
did mine in October. I think it was like closer to November. Like
Yeah.
now, I just did it like a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, people are doing like these bento box lunch
Oh, good
boxes
Lord,
with like
yes.
cucumber slices that are shaped like flowers. And I'm like, I am not going to do A, my kids aren't going to eat cucumbers. B, I don't have the time to do that. Like, and you feel guilty because you're like, oh,
You're not doing it.
you know, my child deserves to have a bento box mom who's going to put in these cucumbers shaped as flowers, or like a cute note every day in their lunchbox being like, I love you so much. Like, I don't have that time, and I don't have
Right.
the brain space to do all of that.
Yeah.
So I think it sets such an unrealistic standard.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
But let me tell you something on that note. I actually strive for that sometimes near the beginning of the year for the reason that I wasn't organized enough to do. My guilt almost like catapults this energy to like, well, I'm going to, because it's really just a stamp. Because I went on this deep dive on Amazon one year where like I got all the shapes. I was like, my kids won't eat. Okay, I got to get the shapes,
Yeah.
And I realized too, it's like, I don't have that, you know, natural ability to come up with like great tasting foods and great. I mean, it's okay for lunch or for dinners, but for lunch, it's really hard. I get really stressed out about lunch. That
my
in
God.
itself gives me burnout.
Lunch is so stressful.
So what I do to make up for the fact that I'm not being creative with this, and my kids don't even care. This is all my brain telling me this, and society as well, and
society, yeah.
Instagram and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, I'll just pull out the stamp. So I kind of do the other way for the reason of feeling guilty, feeling bad, feeling shame of not being on top of it, not getting all the groceries, not lining it up right. Well, at least the 3 pieces of cheese left, at least they're in flour form.
Yeah.
Like there's, it's really sad. It's sad, but it's funny how we kind of do different things, and yet it's for the same reason.
It's for the same reason. And I think it's still making us feel like garbage
And
at the end of the day.
end up feeling like garbage and exhausted.
And exhausted. Like,
And we're
it's
sleeping
just-
super late because we're doing the damn flowers, or we're not doing it, and we're
Yeah.
ruminating about
And
it.
we're ruminating about it and feeling like a bad parent because we're not doing these things. And other parents seem to have that innate, you know, creativity and like nurturing, you know.
And they do it so peacefully and seamlessly. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, we don't have time for that.
No.
No.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No. And okay, so that is like giving ourselves grace. That's essentially giving ourselves, forgiving ourselves,
100%.
lowering our standards in the sense of like low demand, you know, self praise. Like instead of like, I did a great job today because I showed up today and I was tired and I still was, you know, to be able to do that and pat ourselves in the back. How about the idea of like actual physical things that you do?
Yeah, physical stuff. So I became really interested in vagus nerve stimulation.
Okay.
So the vagus nerve is basically like one of the biggest nerves in your body, and it
Right.
branches out to all different areas of your body. So if you do certain things,
Mhm.
it will calm your vagus nerve and calm your nervous system.
Okay.
So for me, I really love doing like cold showers.
Mm.
Not maybe for the whole shower, but at the end of my shower, I'll do like a cold
That's
sort
a
of
thing. Mhm.
blast. I just find it like keeps my energy up. It keeps me less anxious.
Do you scream? Like, I tried it and I'm like, I don't like this. Like, why is this happening? Why did I get myself into this?
I don't think that I could do like a cold plunge. Like,
Okay.
I've gone to like the, those like
Yeah, yeah.
spas or whatever where it's like heat and then it's like cold plunge. And I was like, heat, yes.
Yes, cold plunge. No.
No, I'm good. Heat again. So I don't think that I could do like an ice bath, but I can do like
A
a
cold
quick
shower.
at the end, just like a quick zap
Okay.
of coldness on the body. I also do, if I am feeling anxious, if I
Yeah.
do feel like I'm like on the edge of having like a panic attack, I'll take an ice pack and I'll either put it on my head or I'll put it on my chest, and
I love
it
that.
just calms your system down.
It's funny. My daughter, she'll say, my head hurts, or I don't feel good. I don't feel whatever.
Mhm.
She won't even describe it in words, and she'll just immediately grab an ice pack.
Right? My daughter
It was
does
just kind of this
too.
natural inclination to do that. And I think
Yeah.
that's really cool.
It
So
is.
it's like your vagal nerves. I guess they call it vagal nerves or
Mhm.
vagus nerve. It is such a strong connection to,
Mhm.
I mean, well, your entire body.
Yep.
And so it almost knows what gives it peace. right?
Totally.
So you reach for this ice pack. You
Yeah.
reach for the temp.
Mhm.
Huh. Pressure?
Pressure,
Little bit of-
sometimes pressure. Singing also stimulates the vagus nerve.
So is that stimming or just singing?
Singing.
So the singing is not a stim. It's an actual.
Singing. Just singing. Yeah. It can calm it down.
Huh.
So
I thought it was just the song. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I feel really good. I'm like, this is a good song, but it's
Yeah.
the fact that I'm like
singing.
vocalizing.
Yeah, you're vocalizing, and that's also stimulating the
Oh,
nerve.
I love that.
Yeah. So if I feel stressed out too, I'll just start singing. I'll blast, some Ashley Simpson in the car. Do a little sing along. Or you know what? I'll grab my kids in the kitchen and we'll, dance it out. We'll have like a
Oh.
little dance party because that also
Movement.
gets movement. It just gets
Get it out.
that
Shake it
icky-
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
that ickiness out of your body.
I like that.
And also like a good mentee bee walk is always, it's so underrated. And like my husband always is like forcing me to go on them, but I always feel so much better after I get out and just walk around.
I always get so bitter about the prep to go for a walk, but
Me
once I
too.
go, I'm like, okay, this is good, and then I
It's
come
so
back
nice. And I feel like a totally
Regulated.
different person. Yeah.
completely
Completely
regulated.
different person.
Oh,
And I
love
always
that
hate
so
going
much.
on the walks. I'm always like, Ian, I don't want to go outside. It's cold. But then
Why
I
are
get
you
out-
doing this to me?
Why are
You're
you doing this
terrible.
to me? You don't love me.
You know,
But then I get out and then I'm walking around and I'm like, okay, I'm connecting like with the earth. I'm connecting.
Yes.
I'm seeing trees. I'm breathing fresh air.
yes.
It's, yeah.
It's good to have that body double person, the person that pulls you, pushes you, gentle
Mhm.
nudges you to go out and do the things that are good for you. So
Totally.
we found our match.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd be bad for each other
Maybe we would be.
because we'd be like, you want to just stay in?
Yeah.
Let's go in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Like, we do the
We'd
exact
be like,
opposite.
let's
of
wrap
what-
each other up like little human burritos.
Watch
And
8 hours of like reality TV.
yeah, or true crime. And then we're
True
just
crime.
depressed.
Depressed.
And then
We'll
I'd be like,
cry,
let's order in some food.
Yeah.
We'd be
and
ordering
let's
in.
not walk.
Let's not walk. You know what? And I realized there was like a moment that I had maybe like a year ago that I was just sitting outside of my house, wasn't listening to anything, was just sitting there. And I'm like, I don't remember the last time that I just like sat in silence. Like-
Oh, I have a hard time with that.
Such a hard time with that.
This is kind of a good place for us to kind of tie it up and
Yeah.
talk about how, I think the celebration of uniqueness and our differently wired brains, it's a beautiful thing.
It's such a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. And so I do have to ask you because I'm sure they're going to want to hear so much more from you. There's more where this came
Oh
from.
God, I could go on forever.
Please, where can we find you?
So on socials, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Mini Maggie. On TikToks, I'm at the Catmom Podcast.
Solidarity, there's so many of us. We need to just lean in and accept our wonderful, beautiful selves and just be as authentic
Yeah.
and as true to ourselves,
Mhm.
because I think that's how we can show up for others, by showing up for us ourselves. So you hang on to that sass, get that sass back, and we will see you on the next episode of Sass and Small Talk. Bye!
I need my sass back.
Signing off. See ya, guys. Bye. Signing off. See ya. Bye.